had visionaries who existed initially so far outside society that they were invisible to everyone but each other. She described the people she counted as friends, men and women, straight and gay, writers and painters and composers who survived and thrived during the most turbulent 2 decades of modern U.S. history and amid a society so timidly conservative that its greatest ambition was conformity. Grace and her friends were outlaws in that world, joyfully upending every tradition that presented itself, artistic and social, and in the process, creating a new way of painting, sculpting, writing, and composing that shaped the standards by which we still make and appreciate art today. But Grace's stories went beyond the sweeping importance of the movement. She described the intimate struggles endured and victories achieved by people who became legend, and almost more interestingly and significantly, people long forgotten who were nonetheless vitally important to their peers. In each of those stories, because Grace spoke of friends, the trials and triumphs felt immediate. Art wasn't removed from life. It was life. I had never encountered art history as stirring. Paintings I had only half understood now came alive because I felt I had met, if only figuratively, the artists who made them. I began to understand the cross-pollination between painting and music or painting and poetry through Grace's myriad tales of the writers and composers she knew and loved. And I recognized the necessity of understanding the times in which Grace and her fellow artists lived. They did not create in a vacuum, as those who rely on theory to explain art often imply. They had not expunged all recognizable imagery from their work on an aesthetic whim or to coldly advance the progression of modern art begun in the previous century. They stripped their work of all life except their own internal meanderings because they existed in a world destroyed by war, dehumanized by the death camps, and denied a future by the atomic bomb. Under those circumstances, what else could they paint with any degree of honesty? As Grace spoke, she didn't dwell on the fact that she was a woman artist or that other women formed an important part of the abstract expressionist group. But each time she mentioned a woman painter or sculptor, I found myself wondering why, in the official history, those names so rarely surfaced. Their contributions were significant. In fact, in the cases of Lee Krasner and Elaine de Kooning, the movement would not have existed or unfolded as it did without them. And yet, the story of that movement has been taught and accepted as the tale of a few heroic men. There are many reasons for that interpretation, some endemic to the history of art, in which man is traditionally the creator and woman the muse, and some specific to America at mid-century. Prior to the abstract expressionists, Americans generally mistrusted male artists. Female artists weren't even worth discussing, and labeled them as effete or elitist. The New York crowd, beginning in the 1930s, was the first generation to make painting and sculpture an American manly occupation. The movement's macho character was, therefore, part and parcel of the transformation it initiated. But another important reason the abstract expressionist story has belonged to men involves something much more insidious: the market. When art became a business in the turbocharged consumer economy of the late 1950s, work by women artists wasn't considered as valuable as that of men, which meant dealers didn't show it, magazines didn't write about it, collectors didn't buy or donate it to museums, and art history courses failed to mention it. Gradually, most of the women who were part of the abstract expressionist movement were at best sidelined and at worst forgotten, despite the fact that they had been heralded before the art business took control of the art world and that they were pioneers, breaking down centuries-old cultural and social barriers. Before the abstract expressionists, professional women artists were considered exceptional, either oddballs or European.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.